Hello, my name is Aaron, and welcome to Board Games, Bricks, and Hobbies. Today, I'm starting a new series where I take a look at 5 games that used to be in my collection. I'll talk about why I didn't like the game enough to keep it around, and also whether or not it was directly replaced by something in my collection. I'm going to be running through these in alphabetical order, so with that said, let's have a look at the first one. So the first game on this list is Advance to Boardwalk. And Advance to Boardwalk is obviously a spin-off of Monopoly. It only takes place on the boardwalk, you're building hotels, and the game is actually surprisingly decent for what it is, and especially considering the time period. You roll 2 dice and that tells you how much money you have to spend that turn, and depending on which hotels you build, you can kind of steal them from other players and gain control that way. And while it's a decent game, I have just found that there's other games that do that mechanic better or play similar to it. One example would be New York 1901, or even the game Acquire. They just kind of do the same thing but in a better package. So again, this one's not a terrible game. It's just one that I think has been replaced by better games. Let's take a look at the next one. So the next game is Battle of the Sexes. And this must have been one that I owned in my teens, because looking back now, there would be absolutely no reason to even look at this game. It's obviously incredibly stereotyped. The blue questions are about cars and tools, and the pink questions are about hair and who knows what. I'm honestly bad at both sides of the questions because they're complete garbage, and the game is complete garbage. I don't recommend it at all. And yeah, that one just kind of left my collection because it wasn't a good game. Let's take a look at the next one. Alright, so hopefully the next game is not as terrible. It's BattleBots Kickbot Arena game. And I was a huge fan of the BattleBots show when it was out. I think it actually may have been rebooted recently. But anyway, the game doesn't really have a lot to do with it, but it does come with a cardboard arena of sorts, and both players chuck dice into it, and you're just trying to knock the dice of your opponents off in the arena. And there's a little bit of strategy, I guess, in which dice you use. There's some that are better at defense and some that are better at attacking, but for the most part it's just throwing dice into a cardboard arena. So not really a game worth keeping around, but it's a fun novelty, and if you're a fan of the show, maybe you'd like throwing around some dice. And that's BattleBot Kickbot Arena. Let's see what's next. Alright, so our next game also starts with battle, and it's Battlegrounds, Crossbows, and Catapults. Now, this game is more of a toy, really, and not so much of a game. Essentially, you have some orc and knight figures, and you have these large plastic pieces, kind of like Lego bricks, that you build these fortresses out of. And then you have catapults and crossbows, obviously, like the name suggests, and you hurl them at each other, trying to knock things over and score points. This one's, again, really more just a toy, and it also takes up a lot of space. So just given the fact that it's not really much of a game and it takes up a lot of shelf space, I didn't really feel the need to keep this one. But it's probably still cool for the right audience, maybe if you have younger kids or things like that. Let's see what's next. Okay, so the final game here on this list is Betrayal at House on the Hill. And yeah, now I might catch some flack on this one, but the thing about Betrayal is that it's honestly just not my style of game. I think it's great for the right audience. It's just I'm not in the audience, and that's why I don't own it anymore. For me, it's just a bit too random and chaotic, and there's some arbitrary rules, and I love the theme of just wandering around a house, and the fact that it will kind of just be a random occurrence that will trigger, and then that leads you to the story. You know, you're either finding a scary doll or trying to ward off werewolves, things like that. I find the theme intriguing, but the gameplay itself lackluster. Although I am interested in Betrayal Legacy, that was kind of a follow-up to that in more of a campaign style of game. I am interested in that just because I've heard that the storyline kind of balances itself out over the course of the time you play it. And so that, I think, would resolve some of the concerns I have with the original game, which is just that it can be really unbalanced. And I think it's a neat experience and maybe something that everyone should try once. But for me, it's not really a game that was worth keeping. But this one, I could definitely see why others like it. Alright, so there you have it. Those are 5 games that used to be in my collection. Have you played any of these, or do you own any of these? If so, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and you can look forward to seeing more videos in the future. Thank you for watching the video. Hope to see you again in another one. Take care. Bye.